All right. Welcome back. My name is Michelle Champagne Wilcox.
And hi, I'm Paige Champagne Loga, and together we are Accidental Wellness. Today we're going to talk to you about our why and how we both ended up in the same path with Young Living, which is a company that we both love and it's very dear to us. And we're going to tell you a little bit about our backstory and why we're here. And I'm going to go first. So I'm 49. I have two wonderful children, Dylan and Sarah, and they're both adults. My parents live with me. I have the blessings of having me spend the rest of my parents' lives with them, which I feel very grateful for. And I have two siblings that live out of town who I'm very close to, and a brother here. So I grew up in a very nuclear household, normal. I was very active all through high school as a young mother, and at age 33 I got sick. I got really sick, actually. I couldn't walk, and I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. So after 3 doctor's visits, because I didn't just go to one, I made sure that this was indeed my diagnosis. Right. So I started taking medicine. By the third one, who I felt was probably the youngest, so I thought he was the best doctor. Of course, this line of thinking would never work with me now because I'm much more proactive in my health care, as we all are. But I took a litany of medicines that they gave me, and I became an opioid addict. And once that wore off, I started to depend on alcohol. You know, I did what we did back, so when was that? It was 16 years ago, something like that. You know, I did what everyone did. I mean, we all did that. We got a prescription, we took it, we got it filled, and then we start taking the medicine. You go back in 6 weeks and tell them how you feel. So I did that for years, 13 of them, and I became numb. I tried numerous times to get off of the opioids, only to be sick. I was way in over my head, and in so many ways. It just ruined my life, and I needed to get out of it. And I had a good friend. We were in London, and she looked at me and she said, "You need help." And still that didn't resonate with me until a few weeks later, when I stood at the end of my bed and told my husband that if I didn't take a handful of pills and drink a bottle of vodka, that there was no way that I was going to be able to function. There was no way. I couldn't get out of bed. It seems so insane now to think that
And it was doctor prescribed.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like whatever the case, I was an addict. So I'm not saying I'm better because I got it from a doctor.
No, I'm just saying like that.
Right.
You follow doctor's orders and
absolutely, absolutely. So what ended up happening is I had this great family. I went away for 30 days and I got help. I was a really good student. As much of a great functioning alcoholic addict I was a good student. I read everything that I could. I went to all the therapy classes. I always did a little extra because I knew that I had to take this in and I was going to make my family proud. Because I was there was so much shame. It was absolutely incredible, and in fact, I probably didn't get over that until recently. So, with all of that said, I knew that I had Young Living because I had gone to a party. Let's go to a party. There's wine. Paige is there. So I went to this party and I bought a kit, and I loved smelling the oils in it. You know, I loved and my older sister was always very new agey essential oil. I mean, so she was ahead of her time as far as this learning curve. So I knew that I had this, and I would start diffusing this particular oil that during my darkest months I kept getting in the mail every month because I forgot to change it, and it was called Trauma Life, and it saved mine. Something happened and it doesn't smell great, guys. It doesn't smell great at all. In fact, it stinks. But something in it, my mind shifted, and I got better. And the better I got, the better I felt. My head was clear. I was making really good decisions. So I wasn't an AA person. It wasn't my gig, it wasn't my modality for staying on the straight and narrow. When I came home, I did the 90 meetings in 90 days, as I was told to do by my therapist in California. And I didn't go to my 91st meeting. I never even went and got a chip. I did a year, I didn't even get a chip, which is, I don't know what to say about that, but what I will tell you is that I love the fellowship of AA. I love that you would meet people and they do things for you that your closest relatives would not do or would bitch about. So I love this fellowship, and I wanted to be a part of that without having to go back into a meeting,
Right.
tell my story, because I wanted to move on. I didn't want to dwell in my past. I felt like it was holding me back. So I said, you know what, I am going to share my findings with this wonderful product line. And I searched high and low, researched the supplements, the oils, the frequency, what they do, how it would change my life and make me better and bring me whole again. Because I was really good mentally. I was really good physically somewhat. And what I needed accountability. So I said, I'm going to use this platform. I'm going to share it. I'm going to go out. I'm going to teach people about it, show them how it changed me and how it made me whole again. And that's what I did. And I've been mentoring. I'd like to say mentor, but I've made some wonderful friendships. I've empowered some great women. I have a great team that I absolutely adore. And that's where I stand. I am a young living rep. I'm on my way up. I work all the time, but I don't call it work. You know that cheesy saying, find something you love and you'll never work a day in your life? It's true. It really is. I find myself working so hard that I'm exhausted, but it's a good exhausted. So that's what I want to do. I want to be a great leader, and that's my why. Helping others and staying accountable and being the best version of myself.
And that she does. So I'm going to share with you my why, which is a lot different, but this is how worlds collided. I was a young mom. I got married my high school sweetheart. We'll be married 32 years tomorrow. We have 4 kids, and I am a grandmother to 3. And I, like every other mother, when my kids were sick, I went to the doctor. I listened to what the doctor had to say. I, on the other hand, was never sick. I was super mom. Couldn't get sick. Didn't have any problems. And so as my kids got older, I had done hair my whole life, stayed home with my kids. I loved staying home with them. Actually, our kids went to the same school. We were those ballpark moms, and we did the carpool, and we were always with our kids. And as they got older, I wanted to do something a little different to get out of my house, so I took a job in retail. A friend of mine called me and said, hey, would you like to be a customer service manager? You're so great with people. So here's me. I said, sure. So I went to work for this company. And from the minute I walked in, we actually literally had to build, the walls and all were built, but we had to build it. It was brand new, just opening. So from start to finish on the show floor, all the way up to grand opening for 11 and a half months, we worked. And then we worked regular hours as well. So I was there all the time. The first month, I got an upper respiratory infection. The end of the month, my nose started bleeding. I would get headaches, which I was not normally getting headaches. And I noticed the pattern from my girls that I was the manager for. They were also getting sick, and they were having the same issues that I was having. But we just figured it was, working so close together that it was, we were catching what each other had, which was a cold.
And this is an allergy-ridden town.
Exactly. So I'm thinking, it's the dampness, it's all the allergy stuff. So I just kind of blew it off until March. It was March the 7th, 2013. And I was in the hospital with a tube down my throat, nosebleeds that would not stop, rash on my body, and I had no idea what it was. In fact, they called it infectious disease. They didn't know what it was. Pulmonary doctor came in, took a history, could not figure out what was wrong with me. And to me, we had no clue. We tried to pinpoint anything that had been around, no clue. When I was released from the hospital, I was told that I needed to be on 5 medications and that I was probably going to breathe like this the rest of my life, which was I sounded like my lungs were going to fall out taking 3 steps, which was not like me because I'd jog 3 miles a day, very active with my kids. So I was in tears. I cannot live like this. So when I went back and I brought my little note to work from the hospital, one of the managers there showed me something and then it clicked. On the 2nd floor of our building, where all of our offices are and all of our stock, they were remediating mold on the 2nd floor while we were working. No protective gear, not closed to the public, and there was over 800 bags of mold that they had bagged up while I was in the hospital, which means they were tearing it out and doing, the spores were everywhere.
So I wonder if they knew.
They did know. They did know, and they took the cheap route out, and they didn't close the store, and they didn't tell anyone. They didn't put ventilators. You're supposed to have a bunch of different things, and they didn't have any of that.
Wow.
And it was funny because a week before I went in the hospital, a customer who comes in there all the time told me, every time I come in here, my daughter gets nauseated and has to throw up. And I said, oh, so maybe she just doesn't like shopping. I had no idea what that it existed at that time. Now I'm wondering if that's what it was. So after I find out that it's mold and I bring the pictures immediately, I left straight from there and went back with 169 pictures of this stuff. I showed the doctor and he tested me and it was in my lungs. That's what was making me sick. And I lost it because no doctor, what I found out, no particular doctor at the time really studied mold. You don't learn about that in school.
I had never heard of it until it happened to you.
Yeah, it's not a subject anybody talks about because there's not enough known about it. And so I started researching, and what I did was, since they told me there was nothing that would cure the mold, I got on Google and I said, what will kill mold in your system? That was my Google. And this 5 books came up, and one of the books was from a lady who, her family lived in New Orleans after Katrina on St. Charles, and her family was sick from mold. And it did not say Young Living, but in the very back of the book, she said that the only thing that they found that worked after all of the trials, tribulations that her whole family went through, was an oil called Thieves. So I said to myself, okay, let's Google Thieves. Who sells Thieves?
I mean, nothing in life is an accident.
No,
right?
It wasn't. And at the time, I was like, I didn't know what it meant, but all I knew is I had to get my hands on it. So I Googled it, and it came up Young Living, and I said, who sells this? And that was the beginning of a journey that I had never been on. So I got my kit, and I was backwards. I knew nothing about Young Living. I knew nothing about Thieves. All I knew was that if that was the only thing that was going to work, then I was going to get it. So I got it. I diffused for a solid 8 weeks. Of course, I had the towel over my head, and I had the diffuser going with just Thieves, thinking that that's what I had to do because I didn't know any better. And after 8 weeks of continual, 24/7 Thieves, I went back and I could breathe. My doctor said, what are you doing? And so I showed him.
Did you go back to the work?
Yes, no, not to that place because he told me, he actually wrote a note and said I could not go back in that building until it was remediated and cleared. And until this day, y'all, I have never walked back in there because it's never been done. And c'est la vie. That's all I can say about that company. So it was really rough. So I diffused. So I learned backwards. So I got well with the breathing. And then I started saying, well, if this can help me to breathe, then what can this other stuff do for me? And it was mind-boggling but eye-opening because I was the kind that, like Paige, listened to the doctor. The doctor said, take this medicine. Michelle took that medicine. My kids, same thing. You go back for a recheck, you're fine. That I was the same way. So it was odd for me that a doctor couldn't fix me. I mean, they were doing surgeries on fetuses in the womb, and I'm thinking, you can't help me breathe? But they didn't know, what I found out, as I said, they didn't know about it. So I dove into, and like Paige, I went above and beyond. I learned everything I could learn about these oils and what they could do for you. And lo and behold, it saved my life, and it became my passion. And as much as I love doing hair and stuff, my passion became my purpose. And I know so many people who suffer with so many different illnesses, things that are scientifically linked to mold exposure, that I wanted to go on top of a building and scream, hello, y'all all have mold poisoning, something, because that's how it's just,
You know what it is? It's lack of information across the board.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're hoping, both of us, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We want
We
to
like
start
to educate people.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I mean,
we want you to know this is why we're here, so that yes, I'm the gut person and I am the anxiety person. Michelle's also the anxiety person, but she's an expert on mold, guys. So we want to teach you. We want to teach you things that we learned the hard way, and it's not by choice. Let's face it. I am not sitting in this chair based on a whole bunch of good decisions.
Right.
There's lots of bad decisions, and for that I am truly grateful because I am here now.
oh, absolutely. And I'm grateful for her, because let me just say, when I told her my story and she told me her story, and we were both just looking at each other like, the passion that burns inside of us to help other people is to educate them so that they can be well. We've been in the shadows of not well, and it's not fun, because as much as you think that you can handle illness, and people, when you can't breathe and you're told that there's really no hope, there's really nothing you can do, I mean, that was devastating for me. I mean, emotionally, I mean, my husband, our whole family, it was awful. And to sit and not be able to get up and walk, it was horrible. So our worlds collided, and then she's taught me so much. And I know
Likewise.
I taught her stuff too, but I mean, we feed off of that, and we're learning every day. And we have so much, we get so excited about the little things we learn, but it's because we love we love what we're doing. And it just became, our passion became our purpose.
It's our thing. So we're glad you're here.
Yes.
We hope you enjoy our channel, because there's going to be lots of funnies, some tearful ones, but let's try to keep it upbeat. But let's also talk about the hard stuff. So we'll see you soon, guys, and you guys have a good day.